What's up guys, my name is Brandon, welcome to Quick Flicks. Today, we are kicking off the Halloween franchise by starting with the 1978 classic, Halloween, directed by John Carpenter. Halloween, a film that not only set the standard for slasher movies, but also introduced us to the horror icon Michael Myers, is the cornerstone of one of the longest running and most successful horror franchises of all time. It began in 1978 with the original Halloween, which is widely regarded as one of the greatest horror films ever made. The film follows Michael Myers, a masked serial killer who escapes from a mental institution on Halloween night and returns to his hometown to resume his reign of terror. The original Halloween was followed by a number of sequels, some of which are considered to be classics, while others are more divisive. These include the Cult of Thorns storyline, the reality TV-inspired Halloween Resurrection, the anthology spin-off Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, the gritty hillbilly reboot by Rob Zombie, and the recent trilogy, which directly follows the original 1978 film. Anyways, I'll stop wasting your time so we can dive right in, starting with Halloween 1978. The movie opens up with a very iconic credit sequence of a pumpkin that silhouettes Michael Myers holding a knife, with the classic John Carpenter Halloween score. We then jump to Haddonfield, Illinois on Halloween night in 1963. We get a first-person POV shot of someone creeping around a house, watching this couple make out on the couch, quickly moving it upstairs to do the do. We move into the house through the back door and into the kitchen, where we see the creepy lurker open a drawer and grab a chef's knife, which, fun fact, is actually co-writer Deborah Hill's arm. The one-take shot continues on, where we see the boyfriend leave, and the lurker moving upstairs to find a clown mask on the floor, putting it on. The camera continues on into a bedroom, with an almost naked Judith Myers brushing her hair. She turns around where we find out her little brother Michael is the lurker. He stabs her repeatedly until she falls on the ground deceased, then heads downstairs and out of the front door to be confronted by his parents who just arrived home. They take off his mask, and the camera pans out as they just stare at him in silence. I always thought that was a little weird. Nevertheless, what an amazing opening. We then hop to Smiths Grove, Illinois on October 30th, 1978, just one day before the 15-year anniversary of the murder. We meet Michael's psychiatrist, Dr. Sam Loomis, and his smokeaholic colleague, Nurse Marion Chambers, who are en route to Smiths Grove Sanitarium, where they are preparing to escort Michael Myers to court. However, when they arrive, they notice many of the sanitarium's patients loose out in the fields. This prompts Dr. Loomis to go out and open the hospital gate. That's when Michael Myers shows up and hops on top of the car, grabbing Marion by the face and even smashing the window. She's had enough of his tomfoolery and runs out of the car, giving Michael the opportunity to hop in and take off. I wonder who taught him how to drive. We do one last time jump to the next day, which is Halloween, motherheckas. We meet high schooler Laurie Strode, played by Scream Queen Jamie Lee Curtis. Her realtor dad gave her a key that she must drop off at the old abandoned Myers house. Tommy Doyle, a neighborhood kid that she babysits, joins her on the way and warns her of the dangers of the property, but she giggles it off, unbeknownst to her that the Shape is watching her from inside. Tommy runs off to school, and the Shape stalks Laurie, where we get a little taste of his heavy breathing. The Shape continues watching her while at school, where Laurie sees him for the first time, standing behind Marion Chambers' car. A question from the teacher about fate interrupts her concern over the Shape, but when she looks back, he gone. Meanwhile, Dr. Loomis is expressing the urgency to find Michael to Dr. Terrence Wynn. Loomis assumes he's heading 150 miles north to Haddonfield, but with Wynn thinking that's absolutely ludicrous and unlikely, he takes it upon himself to go find Michael. On his way to Haddonfield, Loomis stops at a payphone to notify the Haddonfield police when he spots an abandoned truck nearby with signs of Michael being there. He quickly leaves, missing the dead mechanic in the bushes that Michael got his coveralls from. Laurie walks home from school with her friends Annie and Linda, and they do typical gossiping when Laurie notices the Shape driving by. "Hey guys!" He speeds off when Annie yells, "Speed kills!" prompting the Shape to come to a sudden stop, creeping the girls out a bit, but continues on shortly after. The girls continue on their journey, with Linda breaking off to go home, but Laurie soon notices the Shape watching them from behind a bush. When Annie goes to check it out, he's gone once again. After assuring Laurie everything is okay, Annie heads home, leaving Laurie all alone. Laurie gets home and looks out of her bedroom window to see Michael standing behind some air-drying sheets, but he suddenly disappears? Honestly, I never knew if this was in her head or not, cause how in the ever-loving heck could he just vanish in front of her eyes? Meanwhile, Dr. Loomis has arrived in Haddonfield and heads to the cemetery, only to find that Judith Myers' tombstone has been stolen, confirming his suspicions that Michael Myers has come home. Getting ready to have some Halloween fun, Laurie hops in Annie's car with her little pumpkin, and the duo lights up, man. But quickly have to put it out when they come across Annie's dad, Sheriff Lee Brackett, responding to a break-in at the hardware store. He informs the girls that he suspects some kids broke in and stole a mask, a couple of knives, and rope. They let him get back to work and head off. When Dr. Loomis arrives to introduce himself and speak with Sheriff Brackett about Michael freaking Myers. While Loomis waits to chat, the Shape just so happens to drive right behind him. Oh, you silly Michael, we see you. We move further into the night, where Brackett takes Dr. Loomis to the old Myers house. Upon walking into the abandoned home, they don't find Michael, but do find signs that he's been there, such as a dead dog that he munched on. While they search the rest of the home, Dr. Loomis tells Brackett some backstory on Myers, giving us this iconic speech.
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
Nighttime has officially fallen, and the Shape is doing his stalking thing, watching Annie get to the Wallace house, where she will be babysitting young girl Lindsay Wallace. Just across the street, Laurie is babysitting Tommy Doyle, reading him stories, when Annie calls to talk about boys, particularly Laurie's little crush named Ben Tramer. While gossiping, the Shape watches Annie from outside, getting the attention of family dog Lester, who starts to growl and bark at him, annoying Annie. But Michael adds another dog to his kill count and murders the poor little doggy. Annie's boyfriend Paul calls and talks about naughty things, while the Shape watches from the back door, but once again vanishes. The two plan to meet up within the hour and get down to business. She walks Lindsay over to Tommy Doyle's house, where the two are watching The Thing from Another World, which I found a bit funny since John Carpenter would go on to direct his version of The Thing in 1982. Laurie agrees to watch Lindsay, while she goes to do a two-person push-up with Paul, although she never gets to engage in the activity, as when she gets into her car, the Shape jumps out and strangles her for a good while before slitting her throat, killing her to give us a funny face. Michael carries her to the inside of the house, Tommy seeing this at the window. This terrifies him enough for Laurie to look out, but she sees no one. She calms the kids down by returning them to watch The Thing from Another World. Meanwhile, we get a funny scene of Dr. Loomis, who was hanging out at the Myers house, scaring the kids that bullied Tommy earlier. What a funny guy. While he waits for Michael to show up, Linda and her boyfriend Bob arrive at Lindsay Wallace's house to do the monster mash. They walk in, and noticing no one is home, they can't contain themselves any further and get down to business on the couch, while the Shape watches from a few feet away. You're a weird guy, Michael. These two lovebirds take the party upstairs, and once they are all done, Linda demands a beer from Bob. He goes downstairs to get one when he hears weird noises in the dark kitchen. He investigates, thinking it's Annie pranking him, but he gets surprised to see the mother heckin' Shape dart out of a closet. He strangles Bob, then raises him with one hand for a tummy stab. Oh, that's a long knife. This is honestly a really cool and eerie shot. You know, Michael just standing there and observing Bob's corpse as if it's like a work of art. I love it. So creepy. The Shape heads upstairs, opening the door with a sheet covering himself. Linda requests her desired beer, but with who she thinks is Bob being completely unresponsive, she resorts to calling Laurie. But as soon as she picks up, Michael attacks from behind. Laurie assumes her noises are moans, but quickly becomes concerned when the other end of the line becomes silent. After he kills Linda, Michael picks up the phone and says his first words of the film. Nah, I'm kidding. But could you imagine? Back at the Myers house, Loomis turns around to spot Marion Chambers' stolen car. What? You've been sitting there all night and just now spotted it? I mean, I guess. With 100% confirmation that Michael is in town, he goes into action. With Laurie's growing concern for her friends across the street, she decides to head on over to make sure everything is alright. With the front door being locked, she heads around back and goes inside. With the lights off and no responses when calling for her friends, she grows more worried, but heads upstairs regardless and follows the only light on to find her homie, Annie, dead on the bed, with Judith Myers' tombstone behind her. This freaks her out and she backs into Bob's upside down hanging corpse, and with another door opening on its own to reveal Linda's dead body. This is enough intel for her to get on out of there, right? Not really. She just stands outside of the room crying when the shape's face appears in the shadows. I absolutely love that, by the way. He takes a stab at her, but only grazes her arm. This causes her to scream and fall over the stair ledge to the bottom floor. With Mikey looking at her from the top of the stairs, she limps off as fast as she can, closing a door behind her. But that ain't gonna stop the Mikinator. He breaks through it and chases her outside. With one neighbor thinking Laurie is playing a Halloween prank and turning her away, she has no other option than to go back to the Doyle house. With Michael making his way across the street, she pounds on the door to wake up Tommy. He unlocks the door and lets her in, Laurie telling him to get upstairs and hide, while she calls the police. But as you'd expect, the lines are dead. She has no option other than to wait it out and grab his sewing needle. Doesn't take long for Michael to appear though, as he snuck in through a window and jump scares her from behind the couch. He misses a stab with his knife, but Laurie manages to stick him with a needle in the neck, incapacitating him. She runs upstairs, telling the kids everything is okay now, but everything is in fact not okay. As Michael makes his way upstairs, she locks them in a room and gets in the closet, tying the handles up for support. It doesn't take Michael long to find her and start breaking his way in. While he gets tangled up on the hangers, Laurie manages to poke him in the eye with one, causing him to drop his knife. Laurie then picks it up and stabs him with it. Michael is down long enough for Laurie to get the kids and tell them to go get help from the Mackenzies down the street. They oblige and run outside screaming, getting the attention of passerby Dr. Loomis. Convenient timing, as Michael awakens once more and attacks Laurie from behind. As he strangles her, she manages to take off his mask, revealing Michael's face for a brief second, before Dr. Loomis takes a shot at him. Loomis runs into the room and shoots him another 5 times, causing Michael to do his Halloween dance. Before falling off the balcony, Laurie and Loomis give us this iconic exchange.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
Loomis goes to see the supposedly dead Michael, only to see that he's gone once again. The movie ends with showing us all of the film locations, with Michael's heavy breathing playing over. We then cut to the Halloween title card with the iconic Halloween music playing, and the movie ends. What'd you think of Halloween? Love it? Hate it? Let me know down below. It's honestly my personal favorite movie of all time, and my favorite horror franchise as well. I'm really excited to dig into this franchise. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.